Welcome to The Silent Truth. Tonight, we explore one of the most chilling mysteries in modern America, the unexplained disappearance of Brian Schaefer. A case that proves sometimes, silence speaks louder than words. It was March 31, 2006. Brian Schaefer was a 27-year-old medical student at Ohio State University. By all accounts, he was a kind, ambitious young man with dreams of becoming a doctor. Despite the stress of medical school, Brian had a big heart and a passion for music. In fact, he often talked about starting a band one day. That night, he and his friends decided to celebrate the start of spring break. After dinner and a few drinks, they ended the evening at a popular bar called the Ugly Tuna Saloon. Surveillance cameras captured Brian walking into the bar around 1:15 a.m. He was smiling, chatting, and seemed in good spirits. What makes this case so disturbing is what happened next. The cameras clearly showed Brian entering the bar, but they never showed him leaving. His friends assumed he slipped out at some point, but when they called his phone the next day, there was no answer. When Brian didn't show up for class or contact his family, panic set in. Police searched every inch of the bar, from the basement to the roof. They reviewed hours of footage. They even checked nearby security cameras. But there was no sign of Brian leaving the building. It was as if he had simply vanished into thin air. Over the years, countless theories have emerged. Some believe Brian was the victim of foul play. Others think he chose to disappear and start a new life, possibly struggling with the recent death of his mother. But there has never been concrete evidence to support any theory. His bank accounts, credit cards, and phone have shown no activity since that night. Nearly 2 decades later, the case remains open, with his father, family, and friends left with nothing but questions. On February 14, 2013, authorities shared surveillance footage from one of the hotel's elevators. The video quickly went viral. In it, Elisa can be seen pressing multiple elevator buttons, peeking out nervously as if someone is following her, stepping in and out of the elevator, and making bizarre, almost unnatural hand gestures. At times, she appears terrified, at others, confused or dazed. The footage is chilling, lasting just a few minutes but raising endless questions. Was she hiding from someone? Was she hallucinating? Or was something far darker happening? For nearly 3 weeks, Elisa remained missing. Meanwhile, guests at the Cecil began to complain about problems with the hotel's water. The water pressure was low. It tasted strange. Some even said it came out dark and foul-smelling. On February 19th, a maintenance worker climbed to the hotel's rooftop water tanks to investigate. What he found was horrifying. Elisa Lam's naked body was floating lifelessly inside one of the tanks. Her clothes were found nearby, soaked and drifting in the water. The discovery shocked the world. For weeks, guests had unknowingly been drinking, showering, and brushing their teeth with water contaminated by Elisa's decomposing body. The question was no longer just where Elisa had gone, but how she ended up in that tank at all. The Los Angeles County coroner ruled her death an accidental drowning. Toxicology reports showed no drugs or alcohol in her system, aside from her prescribed medication for bipolar disorder. Authorities concluded she may have suffered a mental health episode, wandered to the roof, and somehow climbed into the tank herself. But many details didn't add up. The rooftop doors were locked and alarmed. Only staff had access, and if Elisa had opened them, alarms should have gone off. The water tanks were tall, heavy, and difficult to access. How could a petite young woman lift the lid, climb inside, and close it behind her? Her clothes, found floating separately, raised even more questions. Theories began to spread rapidly. Some believed Elisa had been murdered, perhaps by someone at the hotel who then staged the scene. Others thought she had suffered a psychotic break and wandered to her death. The more supernatural theories suggested she was influenced by the Cecil's dark energy, or even playing the infamous elevator game, an urban legend said to transport players to another dimension. Despite years of speculation, no theory has ever fully explained every detail. What we know is that Elisa Lam's life ended far too soon, in circumstances that remain shrouded in mystery. The story of Elisa Lam is more than just a creepy internet case. It's a tragedy about a young woman struggling with her mental health, caught in the wrong place at the wrong time. It's about the dark history of the Cecil Hotel, a building that seemed cursed long before Elisa walked through its doors. And it's about our human need to find answers, even when the truth refuses to reveal itself. Today, Elisa's case lives on in documentaries, podcasts, and endless online theories. But beyond the mystery, it's important to remember her not as just a headline or a horror story, but as a daughter and a sister, a real person who was lost in one of the most chilling ways imaginable. The Cecil Hotel still stands in Los Angeles, though it has since been rebranded. But for many, it will always be remembered as the place where Elisa Lam's story ended, and where one of the internet's most haunting mysteries began.